Topic 1. Getting started. In this videos, we're going to introduce QuickBooks Online. So as part of the course of Accounting Information System, we're going to learn QuickBooks Online. The purpose of having QuickBooks Online here is to get our students to understand how we can apply accounting information systems in accounting. So there are many choices to have the accounting information system. For example, we have systems like Xero, systems like Sarge. One of the benefits having QuickBooks is it is very easy to access. Okay. First, students will have a free QuickBooks Online license. If you sign up here, but you're gonna get a limited time free license for QuickBooks Online. Okay, you can just search QuickBooks Education or Intuit Education. You're gonna get a free license for a limited time, and you're gonna have many training videos and resources. As you know, QuickBooks also have a desktop version. If you compare between the online version and a desktop version, so what's the difference? So basically these two things are doing very similar things. Okay, more advanced users may think that desktop is better, has have more capabilities, can do a lot of more complex transactions, but basically they're doing very similar stuff. The online version has its benefit, right? First, it's a cloud-based accounting information system. All the data is saved and back in the remote places, so you don't have to worry about losing your data. And also, it has a multiple platform operations. In other words, you can operate QuickBooks Online in your cell phone, in your iPad, in front of desktop. You can use it everywhere basically, and it can have a real-time collaboration between multiple users. And also, it is easily available to everyone. Okay, so for the rest of the class, we're gonna use QuickBooks Online in its test drive, which is a sample file accessible for everyone. Alright, so let's get started. You can just search QBO test drive right here, QuickBooks Online Intuitive test drive. And you're going to pass the verification. Alright, now we see the dashboard. Okay, this we call the dashboard of QuickBooks Online. Alright, so let's take a look at what do we have. So first, you're going to see this is a sample company. Okay, the company's name is Craig's Design and Landscaping Services. Okay, so in this sample company, we have most of the functions of QuickBooks. In fact, all the functions, you say that. And some of these functions are available for premium users. In other words, if you are subscribers of QuickBooks Online, you have to pay a premium for those functions, like the payroll functions. But here in the sample company, we do have access to those functions. Now let's take a look at the dashboard. So here, this column is known as a navigation pane, okay, where we can get an access to all the functions. For example, here first we have the banking, okay, so it deals with banking related activities. And here we have the expense. Basically, it deals with expenses and the vendor related transactions. For example, when we purchase or spend money, right, we're going to use this expenses functions. And here we have the sales, deals with sales transactions and the customer related transactions. And also we have the products and services, okay, it's also part of the sales. And here we have the projects. So in the desktop version, they call it jobs, okay. So it's a very comprehensive transactions in which we can have all the expenses, all the sales transactions, just for one project. We're going to talk about that later. And this is a payroll related transactions. And here reports, we can have all kinds of reports available in QuickBooks. And here is a tax. And this is a mileage. So if you're tracking mileage for project or for your business, it's very useful functions. And here we have the accounting functions, which we're going to spend a lot of time talking about these functions. And then the My Accountant is going to get you connected with QuickBooks Expert. You can get connections with your accountant. So you can collaborate here for your accounting work. So this is a navigation pane. Okay, and here we have the new buttons. Okay, we can create. If you click, we can create all the transactions for customers, vendors, employees, and others. So very useful function. So in the middle, we have a lot of windows, which we can customize these windows. But let's take a look. What are those things? Okay, so we have a setup guide. You follow these things, you're going to set up a lot of transactions. And right here we have a snapshot of your bank accounts, checking accounts, savings, and your credit card accounts. You can see numbers, like your checking account, you have the balance for bank balance and in QuickBooks. You can see those numbers are different, but that's very typical because many times we record numbers in the QuickBooks, but we have not received the update from the banks. So those numbers will be different, and by the end of the period, we're going to reconcile those numbers. Okay, call this reconciliation, which is very important procedures in accounting work. I'm going to talk about that later. And we have some shortcut is going to lead you to the transactions you want, like add an invoice or add a bill. So you can get to those functions either from here shortcut, or typically I would like to use this new create a new transactions. All right. And if you click this business overview, it's going to give us a snapshot of a company's current performance. Okay, like the statistics about all the invoices we have. Right, for example, we have $5,282 unpaid invoices. Okay, among which, right, 1,526 is overdue, and the rest is not due yet. And we have paid, right, $3,692 during the last 30 days, right? And we have about $2,000 undeposited. Okay. And we have the statistics about expenses, right? Just take a look at what is the biggest expenses you have for the past 30 days. Obviously, it's maintenance, right? Expenses. And we have our profit losses for the last 30 days. And the sales statistics. Of course, you can customize these statistic or snapshot. We're going to talk about that. Now let's get to customize the QuickBooks. Okay, we start from this gear button. As you can see here, we have an option to switch to business view. So let's do the switch to see what's the difference. Now we switch to business view. As you can see, looks very similar, but we do have more choices in this navigation pane, like cash flow, and we do have a cash flow snapshot here, which shows money moving and move out. Otherwise, we do also have other differences. Well, let's talk about the difference between this business view and the accountant view. Okay, basically we're gonna use the accountant view. It's for people who have some accounting background. So if we know nothing about accounting, you can use business view. Otherwise, we can use accountant view because it offers more comprehensive, control of QuickBooks Online. Now we do not have the cash flow statistics, but this is also available in the accounting lab. We're going to talk about that later. Okay. All right. So let's get back to the setting. And right here, we're going to see the account and the settings. Okay. So first, we're going to customize company. So we can customize company's name and logo first. Click right here, the pencil. So we can customize the company's name, like Calvin Design. Let's change the company's logo. Alright, so I'm going to choose this picture. Okay, so I customized the company's logo, say. And if you have any ERN or SSRNI number, you can put into the number, but do not put into the real SSN into this sample company. Okay, do not put any phone numbers or any credit card or bank account number into this sample company. Alright, so we're going to save. We can also customize company type because the tax form may be different for different types of companies. So the sole proprietorship, right? This is a tax form for personal income tax. And we have partnership or limited liability companies. We're going to choose this one. Okay. So if we are a non-profit organizations, we're going to file form 990. So we're going to choose this one. Okay. So I'm not going to change the settings here, so it's not sure. And we're going to customize the company's email, phone number, website. Then later we're going to put these information can be shown in your invoice or any kind of those forms. I'm going to change the address. We can also customize the usage, and different subscribers may have different usage limits, right? The more you pay, the more capacity you're gonna have, more users, more accounts. I think this is for basic. So for basic users, we can have 5 users and up to 250 chart of accounts and 40 tag groups. So for the users, one user will be the administrators, and then you're gonna give other users, permissions to do this or that, and up to total 5. If you upgrade, you can have up to 25 users. But for small businesses, we don't have to use that many users. All right. We can customize sales-related options. So we can customize look and feel. Just give you some ideas what this is. So the default will be standard form, and we can edit this form. For example, this is a invoice. It's a standard invoice, just look like this, and we can customize it. Right? We can choose different template. Right? Currently we are using classic. You can use modern if you want. We can also customize color, font, and the print option. Okay? And also can customize content and other things. So I'm not going to make any changes for now. So exit without saving. All right. So let's take a look at sales from sales form content options. For example, these are the options you're going to keep for all your sales related transactions. For example, your preferred invoice terms, net 30, which means right, we're going to give customers 30 days to pay. Right, we can change those options easily. Example, instead of giving them net 30s, we can give them net 60s or 10. Okay, and we do allow discounts, so discount options is enabled, and you can change other options if you want. Cancel. And product services functions, we're going to talk about that later. Okay, currently The track quantities and price rates is on. Track inventory quantities on hand is on. We can turn those off. Okay. Right, this is for sales options, and we're going to do the same thing for expenses options. So currently all these options are turning on. For example, we have make expenses item billable is on, and purchase orders is on. We're going to talk about that pretty soon. Right, then we're going to move to advanced settings. Okay. So first, the dates. So what is our fiscal year? Our first month starts from January. In some companies, the fiscal year starts from February, so you're going to change those settings. Okay, change those settings. Accounting method, typically we're using accrual accountings, but some small business, they use cash accountings, so you're going to change here to cash accountings. Okay. Tax forms, we have not determined what kind of tax form we're going to use, so I'm going to leave it to other. And chart of accounts, we're going to talk about pretty soon. It's a very important accounting for QuickBooks, of course, for all accountings. Chart of accounts is important because basically it's like the ledger in the bookkeeping. So enable account numbers currently is turning off. You can turn it on, so all the accounts is going to be indexed. Track clauses and track locations are correctly turned off. Okay, we're going to talk about that in later topics, in which they will be turned on, and we're going to talk about those things. So automation, most automation is turned on. So we're not going to change those settings for now. And project is currently on. Time tracking is on. Those features will be introduced later. So if we're using other currencies, we're going to change those settings. Okay. And one thing I will talk about is here is sign me out if inactive for. Okay, so I have to emphasize this is a sample companies. Actually, it's for all the QuickBooks Online operations. If you're inactive for a certain time, the system will log you out. The difference between the sample company and an actual QuickBooks Online account is for actual QuickBooks Online, okay, all your transactions or operations will be saved automatically. Even if you are signed out, okay, your data will be saved. But this is a sample company, okay, all your data, all your operations will not be saved. So if you're doing assignment or project in these sample companies, make sure you have to keep active. Okay, if you leave it, if you leave for, in this case, 1 hour, and all your work will be gone. So we can change these options. We can make it longer, actually. So for now, I'm going to keep 3 hours. Okay, that's enough for me to finish any of those assignments. So I'm going to save. All right, I'm going to close this one. That's account and settings. Move to manage users. I have talked about users. Currently we have 5. We can have up to 5 users for the current plan. You can add users. So it could be a standard users and a company administrators. Okay, for administrators they can see and do everything basically. Okay, but for standard users they can have full or limited access, depends on their roles in the company. Right? For certain users, for example, you just want them to get an access to certain accounts or certain transactions. This is a very good internal controls. Even for some users, they can only see reports. They can do nothing. They cannot input any of those transactions or change transactions. They can just view. Okay, so it depends. Alright, that's manage users. I can also custom form styles, so you can try this by yourself to see which kind of form styles you like the best. Alright, so let's spend some time in the chart of accounts. As I said, this is a very important start point of using QuickBooks. So this is a sample company, so the basic accounts have been set up already. If you are setting up new companies, you're going to customize it, okay? From the very beginning, you have a full list of accounts. You're going to pick those you want to keep. So for now, we have used 44 accounts. Can use up to 250. So let's take a look at what kind of accounts do we have. So typically we have, right, or assets, then liabilities, equities, followed by revenues, and the expenses account. This is the typical settings. Okay. All right. So we have 2 accounts. We have checking and savings account, 2 bank accounts. And as you can see, these 2 accounts, they are connected with or bank account. So we're going to talk about that when we introduce banking functions. In other words, these are connected with our bank account, so we can download our bank transactions, bank feeds, okay? Then the QuickBooks is going to process the bank feeds. We can record new transactions, or we're going to match the existing transactions with the QuickBooks records. And then we're going to reconcile our bank accounts. So we can click the View Register to see all the transactions, for example, here for checking account. Here we have some tips how to using how to use checking account, the register. Right, these are all the transactions we have recorded in the checking account. Okay, payments and deposits. And if you want to view some specific transactions, that's pretty easy to do. For example, I want to see the $75 legal and professional fees expense. Okay, gonna click the number, and we can modify the numbers or accounts. Okay, for now we're not gonna do these things. Okay, to view the entries, we're gonna click editor. Okay, this gives us the actual expense input number 76. Okay, this is how we record $75 expense. Okay, and we can make changes here. Or, okay, if you think it's an error, we can avoid these transactions. Okay, can remove it, but still keep the records. Okay, so we see this transaction is recorded and removed. Or we can delete it. Okay, so remove the history totally. Typically, I recommend void functions. Okay, because if you choose to delete it, then nobody can see the original transactions. And if you want to view the journal entries, okay, gonna click the transaction journals. And this is the journal entry for these transactions, right? So we debit, right, legal professional fees, and a credit checking $75. Right? You can print this journal entry, and you can also export it into either PDF file or Excel file. So for most of the reports, right, the QuickBooks Online offers these functions. You can email it, print it, or export it. Right, so I'm not going to make any changes here. And let's get back to the chart of accounts. Right. So although it's quite comprehensive, if we want new accounts, many times we need a new accounts, and if we are a different type of companies, we may have to modify the chart of accounts totally. For example, if we are non-profit organizations companies, and we may have to modify these accounts totally. But for now, let's say we have accounts receivables, right? In accounting, when we have accounts receivables, we will have bad debt. So let's see, does this chart of accounts offer us bad debt expense and the allowance account? So let's check the expense account. Right, we don't see any bad debt expense, but we can set up a bad debt expense account. So let's do that. So we're gonna set up a new account. All right. So we're gonna choose this is a expense account. So we're gonna choose detail type, right? Bad debt. Okay, I'm gonna give the name bad debt, or you can put some descriptions. Okay, so we're gonna save and close. Now we should have a new expense account, which is right here. Bad debt has been set up. Okay, and let's also set up the allowance for bad debt account. Allowance for bad debt is an asset account. It's a contra asset account, right? So let's choose the best. So probably I'm going to choose the other assets, because if I choose accounts receivables, I don't have any other options. So choose the other current assets. Okay, so we do have the allowance for bad debt available. Okay, then we're going to choose save and close. Okay, so now we have both the bad debt expense and allowance for our bad debt account. We can record the transactions. And if we are setting up a new company, we may have to deal with the beginning balance problems. For example, if I'm setting a new company and I have a computer account. So let's see if I do have have a machinery and equipment. Okay, I'm gonna set up this account, and this is their the main account, which is the machinery equipment. Now I'm going to set up the computer as a sub account of this machinery and equipment account. So I'm going to add a new again. This is a fixed assets, then the machinery equipment account. Okay, and name this as computer account, and I'm going to make it a sub account of the machinery and equipment, and also I'm going to track depreciation for this computer account. Okay, now if we are setting up a new company and we have to deal with this beginning balance problems, right? If we put a beginning balance right here, original cost, then in accounting equations, on the one side it's an asset, the other side will be liability and equity. So if we input an asset, the equity account will be increased by the same amount. In this case, right, the system is going to increase the beginning equity account. So let's put, for example, I'm putting original computer. The cost is $1,000, right? So as of January the 1st. So depreciation, it's used a little bit. Let's say the $100 depreciation already. The same date. Gonna save the close. So what's gonna show up here is under the machinery account, I have a sub account called computers. Or for computers, okay, I have two records. One original cost, the other is accumulated depreciation. So the net book book value for my computer is $900. Okay, and this $900 is going to increase my equity account accordingly. So let's check my equity account. It's going to increase my opening balance equity. So as you can see, the opening balance equity is increased by 1,000 and decreased by 100, which is accumulated depreciation. The net increase will be 900. Okay, so when we set up a company, we're going to have these problems. But if you purchase computers through journal entries, okay, we don't have to deal with this beginning balance problems. All right, so we can run a report of the chart of account. A very convenient functions. It gives all the accounts we have and its current balance. Okay. Again, you can print it or export it to PDF or Excel file. And we can also input a chart of accounts. If you set up a new company, or you are transferring data from another systems into QuickBooks Online, you can use these import functions. Basically, you can download a sample file. Right, we have the account numbers, account names type, and detail type. Okay, then what you're gonna do is you're gonna type or list all the accounts you want to have in QuickBooks Online, and then you're gonna delete. Okay, you're gonna delete this one, and then you're gonna upload this file. Upload this file, then the QuickBooks Online is going to recognize your chart of accounts. All right. All right, that's chart of accounts. And the QuickBooks Labs, typically when they offer new functions, they're going to put these into the lab. Into those labs. For example, we have the cash dashboard widget, right? As you can see, this is available for the business views, but in the accountant views, we're gonna get the cash flow from here, from the lab. We also have other new functions. When those functions matures, then QuickBooks Online can move these functions to its regular functions. All right, so let's get back to the dashboard. We set up a new companies. Typically, the chart of accounts is first we're going to set up. Also, we're going to set up. We're going to add customers or add vendors. So we can add a customers. We can choose a shortcut right here. We're going to add customers here, or we can go to the sales customers. And this gives us all the customers we have. Okay? And also their opening balance. So we can add a new customers right here. You're gonna add a customer. Then we're gonna put all the information about that customers. The more information we put here, then the more benefit we're gonna get from QuickBooks Online services later on. For example, filing taxes or other things. That's for vendors, right? For example, for certain vendors, we're gonna file 1099 form, and we're gonna put that information right here when we set up customers or vendors information. So, for example, I'm gonna set up a customer. Right? Emails, phone numbers. I'm going to leave it blank for now, but if you put emails, then very likely we can send electronic bills, right, to customers. For example, this customers is taxable or not, right? Gonna choose the different tax code, right? If some customers they're in state and if they're out state, then the sales tax rate may be different. Then the payment and billing options, right? If we leave it blank, then the system is going to apply their default options. We just saw those default options we have, right? Net 30s for customers, right? But right, so I'm going to save. Then I have a new customer. So let's go back to the customer list. So I'm listed right here. We can again we can print or we can output, right, this customer's list into Excel file right here. All right, if we are, transferring from one system to QuickBooks, we may have hundreds of customers. So it's not easy to input manually one by one. So what you can do is you can import customers. Just like we did for the chart accounts. We can download a sample file. Right, and from here, we can input all the customers, existing customers, then delete this one, then upload the file into the QuickBooks Online. So we're going to transfer in all the customers from one system to the other. All right. And we're going to do the same thing. We can do the same thing for vendors. And for vendors, we're going to go to the expense, right? Vendors. And we have a vendor list here. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to set up a new vendor. Of course, we can put other information. It's going to make other things easier. For example, we can check the payments of the 1099 form and other things. Going to save. Going to see what's going to happen is, okay, it says another customer has the same name. So in QuickBooks, customers and vendors cannot have the same name. Although a person or a company could be either customer or vendor, but in QuickBooks, we have to differentiate them. So I'm going to rename it as Kevin Yan and vendor, or Kevin Yan 1. Okay. Now I've set up vendors. Okay. We're going to do the same thing. We can output this vendor list into Excel file or print it.